So Charlie Kirk has made a living. He is now the head of Turning Point USA, I believe. And
no, he's been that way for a while. I think he's always been.
He's always been the head of...
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So Charlie Kirk has made a living debating college students. And, usually he gets people who just don't know all the facts, or he'll engage in bad faith arguments. Here, he actually met his match. He got obliterated by a majority of these students, even though Jubilee set up this whole thing. So, I'm going to give you a little bit of a synopsis of how they set it up, right? There's 25 students in a circle, right? Charlie Kirk's in the middle. They have to play almost like musical chairs, where they have to run towards the seat, and whoever gets the seat first gets to debate him, which makes the leftists look more childish. So to put them in that frame, right? And even then, with framing and these implications here that they're stupid kids, they don't know what they're talking about, and they get maybe 3 minutes to debate a single talking point, you have a lot of them destroy them, like this clip right here.
Senate, the Senate is technically DEI in a certain sense for small states. Wyoming gets people in Wyoming get a greater vote than me in California.
Like Rhode Island and Hawaii.
I'm giving you an example. California, I get less of a vote than someone who exists in Wyoming. So we're giving people in Wyoming more say than they necessarily should, given that they're one individual.
Hold on, that guy looked like a hold on.
He looked like handsome you.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say more put together me, but
no.
What the
saying
fuck?
Senate,
the fact that we were both
nodding
our heads at the same time too. Hold on.
Wyoming gets people in Wyoming get a greater vote than me in California.
Like Rhode Island and Hawaii.
I'm giving you an example. California, I get less of a vote than someone who exists in Wyoming. So we're giving people in Wyoming more say.
This guy looks like
You're telling me, dude, that does.
This guy looks like a handsomer, more put together, more successful version of me.
If that guy
skinnier too,
was and you're like, yo, this is my older brother, I'd be like, oh yeah, this makes a lot of
sense. What the fuck?
He's got your face shape and everything.
Oh, all right, that makes me feel bad about myself. That's fucking crazy. I thought this was me for a second. Hold on.
Than they necessarily should, given that they're one individual. So why do you believe in DEI as it relates to how our government is set up? You don't believe in DEI in terms of allowing for people who are black or who are women to be in positions of power that they have not been allowed in, historically speaking.
So is the Electoral College and the Senate based on race?
It's predicated off of diversity, equity,
See how
and
he
inclusion.
thought that right there?
Inclusion of country areas, inclusion of rural areas, inclusion of white men like you.
Okay, so you mean like Hawaii?
I'm referencing. You could say smaller states or places that have less people in it. So obviously would be able to have more of a say per individual.
So your argument is that the U.S. Senate is a DEI. I gotta be honest, I've never heard that argument, but I think it's a little silly. But
how is it silly? Argue against it instead of just saying it's silly.
Well, right. So it's silly.
That's that is literally a tactic that Charlie Kirk uses and people on the right use all the time. No, argue against my ridiculous idea. Don't just say it's silly. This is not a silly argument, by the way. This is a great argument.
Yeah.
And he already laid out why it was a great argument. It's not like he just said something without any sort of any premise. He told you why. I mean, he just told you it's because of representation and the numbers.
On its face, because first of all, we have on the House of Representatives is proportional.
He can't say face. He can't. That's not a word he can use. Look at this guy. He can't say face. That's not a word that he should use.
Population.
Oh, but the Senate isn't. So it's DEI.
It's not DEI.
Yes, it is.
Why would you say it's diversity, equity, inclusions? Because Wyoming gets 2 senators. They're their own sovereign state, aren't they?
For country areas, for rural areas, equity for rural areas.
That's not
for smaller states.
So let's go back to the Federalist Papers and the Founding Fathers. Why was the Senate composed?
Can you tell me why it's not DEI? Under your definition, why is it not DEI?
Because it's not based on race. And by the way,
it doesn't have to be based on race.
It's not based on equity, and it's not based on inclusion.
Can't you have DEI based upon different characteristics other than race?
Let me finish.
Whether or not you're a woman, whether or not.
See, he doesn't know what DEI means, and now so what he's trying to do, he's trying to pivot, right? So what he's doing is he's asking this kid here. He's going to be like, hey, let me sidetrack you with being like, okay, so now we're going to talk about the Federalist Papers. Now we're going to talk about the definition, or can you tell me blah blah blah? Because he knows he's lost this argument because he has no idea how to rebuttal against any of this information, because his entire worldview is that DEI is purely based upon race, and it's not any sort of other factors of inclusion or equity. So
right.
Federal projects, so states' rights usurp federal. Do you know what the 17th Amendment is?
Do you know why the Articles of Confederation failed?
Yes, but what is the 10th Amendment?
Because,
Well,
states had too many rights, had too
right.
much power.
What is the 10th
That's why we
Amendment?
specifically adopted the
Parker,
Constitution.
let me make one point, okay?
Go ahead.
Which is, how did we used to elect senators?
It'd be population.
No, we used to elect senators based on state legislatures. So the Senate is an extension of the state legislative bodies. That's not DEI. That's federalism.
Okay, that's true, but that's not completely true. They were elected that way, but they still only got 2. They didn't change the number of senators that they got.
Exactly.
No.
That's the way that our system is
You're
set up,
misunderstanding what I'm
which
saying
is a
is DEI.
bottom-up, citizen-led government to allow the states, which are first and foremost sovereign. So it goes in this ladder in this country.
That's still DEI for those states
Citizens
and for those country areas.
No, because it's colorblind. It's not that.
It's
we get white
again,
states
DEI
more
is
and
not
black
only
states
based on
more.
race.
Hold on a second.
Diversity for country, diversity for rural, equity
Hold
for
on a
rural,
second.
and inclusion of
So,
rural.
no, that's an
That's
interesting, it's an interesting
DEI.
point. So
You think
diversity.
DEI is only race
let
because
me ask you a
you
question.
associate it with Kamala Harris.
That's a great point.
Is there a single instance in corporate America where DEI is implemented where diversity means anything other than skin color diversity?
So diversity.
No, it's not
women,
about viewpoint.
Women.
What? Fine. How about chromosome or
Was that a serious question?
Wow.
or skin color?
So skin color. There's gender. You have to move the goalpost a little bit because you got destroyed there.
Oh my God!
How is he like? He made his name being like, oh, these are easy targets. These are like 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds. I've been alive a lot longer. I know more than them. Dude, this is embarrassing for him. The fact that this video got put out, too, by Jubilee, which is, I would say, it leans pretty right, for the most part. The fact that they put this out, too, is telling. Because also, just think about it like this. Charlie Kirk is here getting flustered by children. He's getting flustered. He has no arguments against anything that he's saying right now, because then he would have to concede that the Senate is DEI. That, and then we can get into the topic being like, okay, so DEI is not just purely based upon race. It is built on different forms of equity and inclusion that is also going to be aiding the representation of the necessary peoples.
Yeah.
All right, but there's also
no. I'm just asking a very simple question. The answer is no, because our system
that
of
doesn't
government.
mean that's not DEI.
Saying,
Still meets your
saying the
definition.
Senate is DEI.
What was your definition, though?
What is?
What was your definition? Diversity, equity, inclusion. Diversity doesn't
Well,
only
hold
apply
on.
to race.
That was a weird twitch you just did. I don't know if you noticed that.
He's malfunctioning.
Let me
You're just
tell
saying
you.
other people defined
Parker, let me
diversity,
finish.
equity, inclusion to be
Let me
based on
finish.
race. You didn't, though.
Let me finish. Because you're saying you didn't earn it. You know who did earn it? South Dakota and North Dakota when they charted themselves into states.
Wyoming didn't earn it because they have less of a
formed themselves
population.
into a state. Hold on.
You see how they had to they're like wave them off. All right, that's pretty much it for that clip. But
Damn.
Charlie Kirk was, oh my God, to me that's such a good argument though, as well.
It is.
To be like, hey, if you're against DEI, what do you feel about the Senate, right? And
Yeah.
so then, oh man, because it's such a debate, bro, kind of thing. But I mean, like he couldn't beat that argument. He couldn't even associate, because then he had to go back to the Federalist Papers or whatever, and he kept bringing up Puerto Rico and Hawaii for some reason. I'm unsure as to why he kept bringing up that topic, but
Yeah, that was a great clip. I hadn't even thought about it that way, but it's very simple concept to grasp, right? And also somebody who's made their entire career out of shitting on DEI and shitting against these initiatives should, in theory, be able to at least think about them metaphorically and not in a literal way. Even though in this situation it kind of is both.
it was just such I think his mindset on it was just so narrow in terms of, 'cause, he just kept bringing up race, right? The whole time he just kept talking about. He's like, what does this have to do with race? But at the end of the day, it's just
it's because he's thinking about affirmative action. That's the thing, is he's confusing it with affirmative action.
Mm-hmm.
He's not talking about DEI that. Those two things are synonymous to him. That's how dumb
that's
these
a good
people
point.
are.
That's a good
Yeah.
point. Yeah, that's true.
True. That's literally what I think happened in his brain. He's conflating the two things, which is not.
And that's why he short-circuited, and he just he was like. He's like,
Yeah,
I don't even know.
I don't know, man.
All right.
Yeah, incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff coming from the right wing.
Gotta love it. Anyways, thank you for watching our show tonight, guys. I am, again, Rob, and this is Ivan. Say hi, Ivan.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, okay. I need more enthusiasm next time, all right? We're going to rework your contract. If you like what you saw, please leave a like or a comment, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care now.